All right. Hello, everybody. We're back with another Hallway Feeds Facebook Live interview. So I am here at Hallway Feeds in Lexington, and I'm joined today with Larry Bell of Citrus Feed. Larry, are you in your office out in Laverne, California?
Absolutely. How are you doing? I trust that everybody's well and safe at Hallway Feeds.
Absolutely. Obviously, we're all well aware of we're operating in a different business climate right now. Fortunately, we are part of an essential business. So we are making horse feed, we are delivering horse feed, we're shipping horse feed out to our dealers like you guys. Yeah, we've definitely had to change up some of our operations. But we're still operating. So thank goodness, we're very thankful for that, as are all of our employees and all of our customers. And you're right, we're not as warm as you guys, but at least the sun's shining here today.
Yes, it's been very, very hot out here, and all of our employees and better and most important, all the people at Santa Anita are all okay. We've had no cases, and we're strictly adhering to all the protocols. And we're hoping the 14th or 15th we're back rolling.
Right, so they've announced that there is a condition book out for Santa Anita, and so they're hoping to be, are they accepting horses on the 14th or 15th, or is that when races begin?
Well, I believe that it's when they hope they can get racing started. I believe.
Obviously without fans.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. So everybody, Larry is the president of Citrus Feed out in California, and they primarily handle hallway feeds among some other products, as well as hay, straw, bedding at the racetrack. So he's focused, obviously, Santa Anita, Del Mar. Where else are you going, Larry?
Well, it would be Santa Anita, Los Alamitos, Del Mar, the San Luis Ray Training Center, and the Galloway Train Center.
That's enough to keep you busy, isn't it?
Yes, year round.
In in a normal year, how many horses do you have an estimate of how many horses that would be that you're taking care of?
Oh gosh, I'd have to figure it up. We are a little low on horses now because of the gap in racing. Some of them have been sent out to the farms for a little R&R. I'd have to sit down. We feed a lot of horses out here.
Sure. Well, let's kind of start back with Citrus Feed. So, what's the history of the company? You are not first generation Citrus Feed, right? This began before you.
Right. In 1924, my grandfather, R.O. Bell, moved from Chapel Hill, Tennessee, to Laverne, California, and he started the Laverne Feed and Fuel, which is right across the street from our office. And for years, he sold just the local clientele. But in 1933, at the Los Angeles County Fair, which is only about 10 minutes from our office, horse racing was started. And so they would go down and sell to the racetracks or go down to sell at the fairgrounds for the 3 weeks. And then my father, after graduating from the University of Laverne here, taught school for a while, but then in the middle 50s, he took the company, formed it into Citrus Feed, and then went and expanded to the racetracks here in Southern California, Santa Anita, Hollywood Park, Los Alamitos, and Del Mar. So then over the years after I graduated from Laverne, I was always in the business with my father, and then my other two brothers and ourselves, we took the company over. I have an older brother, Doug, who is now retired. I had a twin brother who has passed away. And so, but nowadays it's myself and my wife and my two sons help me in the office every day, and which is a tremendous pleasure. And I'm so glad I have them because they keep this old guy on the track.
Very good. Um, Not being part of the hall, but being an employee of the Hall family here at Hallway Feeds, it's definitely wonderful to see those family operations, especially as they pass from generation to generation. So I can only imagine what that must feel like, having your sons join you there, to have interest in that family business and be interested in carrying it on. That must feel pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty good. You got that right. Yes.
When they're not driving you crazy.
I really think it's the other way around.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. So, we got into this and you said everybody is safe, everybody is healthy, but have there been changes to how you have operated through the COVID-19 pandemic?
Not a lot. We have our safety meetings and we monitor the temperatures of our employees. And then, of course, they have to go through the protocol in going into the racetrack. Other than
Right.
that, we're on a normal basis.
Good. Well, we're lucky to be part of those essential businesses. So thankful for that, for sure. So Larry, you and I were talking right before we came on here, and that's a lot of history for Citrus Feed, going back to 1924, and I'm sure you have had some absolute characters as customers over the years, and some absolute gems of customers over the year. Are there any particular you'd like to point out?
Well, they are all very important, and they're all so valuable. I always would want to start off with such a gentleman, Noble Threewood, out here on the West Coast. He was a customer for over 50 years. What a gentleman to do business with and to talk to. But of course, our iconic Ron McAnally. He's a customer that's been with us over 60 years with my father and myself. He's still a customer. He's up until the current COVID-19 protocol at Santa Anita with Clocker's Corner shut down. I just was a pleasure every morning to go into Clocker's Corner, sit down, spend 15, 20 minutes with him having coffee. He likes tea. And just going over the old stories and the future of racing and all the stories he had about all the great race horses. Just a fantastic gentleman. And
Well, it's always
to carry that
Go ahead,
on, Mr. Bobby Frankel. In fact, Mr. Bobby Frankel was the one who told us I wanted to use Race 13. And at that time, we were all using texture feeds that was manufactured on the West Coast. But as we found out, they were way behind the technology. And Bobby Frankel, being Bobby, was way ahead of the curve. And he was our first customer who asked to have Race 13 shipped out to Santa Anita. And then actually, shortly after that, Bob Baffert then jumped on using Race 13. And now it's developed into by far our biggest seller out here, and very fortunate to have that type of feed.
Oh no, I think we've lost Larry there. We'll give him a minute to see if he can come back in, see if he gets his internet connection or his power straightened back out there. But what Larry was talking about was our Hallway Feeds product called Race 13. So Race 13 is our number one seller at the racetrack. Comes in an iconic bag, and you see our logo there that was on the screen. It has that logo, but the H in the center is a blue H, and that's the color that has always been associated with Race 13 since it hit the racetrack. So it stands apart that way. It's easy to tell apart. Very simple white bag with the iconic blue H on it. And now it actually says the name Race 13. The bag doesn't make it special, though. I mean, you can put anything you want inside the bag. The bag's just there to let you know what it is. So Race 13 is absolutely unique in its composition and unique in what has been accomplished by the horses that have been on the product. So Hallway Feeds has been fortunate enough to have been in the barns, have fed 13 Kentucky Derby winners. 12 of those Kentucky Derby winners were on the Race 13 product. So Race 13, as I said, the number one racing product we have. Some of the standard ingredients you're going to have in a racehorse type feed. So the corn that's in there, there's oats in there. Now we're very careful about buying those ingredients, and I'll talk about that. But there's also beet pulp in there, soy oil, and then the protein, vitamin, and mineral pellet, which is very special. And then a bit of molasses on there keeps it very consistent, makes it extremely palatable. So those are a couple of things there, apart from the single suppliers for each one of those ingredients, but the consistency and the palatability of that feed are two of the things that make it so useful to trainers. So we make all of that feed right here in Lexington, and we have one single manufacturing location here in Lexington. The feed is made here and it ships to California. So when those trainers are in California, really, they're based out west. They typically stay at those tracks. Oh, we got Larry back. Larry, let me finish my thought here. I was talking to him about race 13 when you kicked off there, but that feed is consistent. So it's all made here, and those trainers are typically out west. They can stay on the same product, but when they ship, just like Baffert did to Oaklawn, take in both divisions of the Arkansas Derby, that exact same feed was waiting for him at Oaklawn. So there wasn't any transition. It could have been the very next bag. One bag might have gone to California, the next bag to Arkansas. And if he goes to Kentucky or New York, same thing. It's the same feed from the same plant. So those are just some of the things that make Race 13 special. So sorry we lost you there, Larry. Glad you're back. When you clicked off, I just explained you were talking about Race 13. So I was explaining what that product is and how it works at the racetrack. So yes, Ron McAnally, an absolute gem. Bobby Frankel, absolutely. I mean, those are some names that are just widely recognized and well respected in the industry. And now you went back a little further than my experience with your first example. Who is that? Noble Threewood?
Noble Threewood was a long-time trainer, highly respected. In fact, the health center at Santa Anita his name is dedicated to the center. Just a great gentleman, a long time customer. So you can't, I mean, it's a privilege to bring his name up as he was a customer. But I apologize for the interruption. David Hoffman, one of our really good customers, tried to call me on the cell phone, and you wait till I see him tomorrow. He interrupted my one chance to be a star, and he had to interrupt it.
Well, I hope you took the call. I mean, it was already busted our connection. I hope you went ahead and talked to him.
No, I didn't. But you wait till I see him tomorrow morning.
Oh, I got you. All right. So let me ask you this, Larry. A couple of fun questions here. Favorite horse that you've seen over the years?
Oh my gosh. Well, you'd have to put in John Henry with Ron McAnally over all those years. And I mean, he was just such a star out here. But lately, the great horses have been, with Mr. Baffert, it's just been one after another. I certainly enjoyed Accelerate last year with John Sadler. That was a big thrill to see that horse and that customer grab such an important Breeders' Cup race. I mean, that was a highlight that we all enjoyed very much. But I mean, how can you forget all the horses that Bob Baffert has had in the last two Triple Crowns? I mean, that's just fantastic.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Yeah, you got too many trainers and you got them calling in. So I'm not going to ask you a favorite trainer. We won't do that. I'd hate for Wind, to get back to one of these guys that you picked one over the other. So we won't even go there. What about favorite racetrack out there to work at? Where do you like spending your time? If you've got to walk around a backstretch, which one do you want to spend your time on? And you can include tracks that aren't open anymore.
Well, Hollywood was really a privilege to be at, but how can you replace the beauty of Santa Anita? It's so nice early in the morning when the paddock was open, to walk around the early morning at the paddocks with all the beautiful landscape and the statues of Seabiscuit and John Henry and Zenyatta, just walking around that iconic area. The backside is always so nice to be around. It's a privilege to have a business like this. It's so unique. here you're in a big metropolitan area, millions of people, and inside the racetrack, it's so nice to sit down in a trainer's office like Owen Hardy or Bill Spar, and then the horses are being led around the shed row, and then maybe a goat will stick his head in the door and say hello, and then a few minutes later you're back on the freeway fighting the traffic. But it's such a privilege to have a unique niche business like this, which with great trainers that are so dedicated to their horses and their health, and so I've always felt privileged to be able to have a business like this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you say that, and I immediately started thinking about the tracks that I enjoy visiting, and you just called it how beautiful Santa Anita is. We're lucky here in Kentucky. I mean, Keeneland is obviously very gorgeous, but it doesn't quite have the history and that spread out feeling where you're in the big city and you kind of drop into that oasis. You know, when you say that, I immediately went to Belmont up in New York. It's so crowded outside the gates. But when you go in, those first, 30 barns with 200-year-old trees in between the barns, and it's green and it's gorgeous. A lot of racetracks are lucky to be that oasis in big cities. So you're right. It is a bit of a getaway for several of those tracks. Obviously, you know, the beauty of Saratoga is just wonderful, and you can disappear in there as well. But when you said specifically coming off the freeway in the big city and disappearing into that space, I immediately, you know, my mind immediately went to Belmont. So yeah, you're right. We are lucky to work in that industry where you have those places you can get away like that.
Well, don't forget now, that's Santa Anita, the tradition, but we all look forward to getting Del Mar. The beach is right next to the racetrack. You sit up on the viewing stand early in the morning with a cup of coffee and you can smell the ocean. It doesn't get any better than that, too. They both are very unique places.
Absolutely. Very, very special. Absolutely. All right. Well, Larry, go ahead.
Hello. Well, I noticed that over the years, for some reason, Lee likes to visit Del Mar.
Yeah, he times that one just right, doesn't he?
I don't know why, but anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jeff passed a note to me, and he wanted to ask, did your grandfather move out of Tennessee or run out of? Which, I mean, just for clarification purposes.
You know, I don't think we really have enough time to enter that answer. I know he packed his bags. He traveled light to get the heck out of Tennessee. And so, next question.
Yeah. All right. Well, Larry, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on here. Don't forget to get back to Dan. We appreciate all you do for Hallway Feeds out in California. Thank you for taking care of all the horsemen and all the horses out there. So, guys, if you need anything, he's not just at the racetrack. Obviously, that's the primary. But if you need anything, we've got Larry Bell there at Citrus Feed. And we appreciate all the years we've had together, Larry, and look forward to many more with you and many more with your sons as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank everybody at Hallway Feeds for what they do.
Absolutely. All right, Larry, have a good afternoon.
Thank you.